My father told me when I was in the 10th grade that I was going to have to get a scholarship because I had a sister who was 1 year older than me and a sister that was 1 year younger than me. And he told me that any money saved for colleges was going to be for them. And so the only way I was going to be able to go to college is if I paid it myself or if I got a scholarship.
My name is Tim Brown, and I'm an author, educator, and coach from East Cleveland, Ohio, proud graduate of Shaw High School. And today I'm having a conversation with a coach and the impact that a coach has on players, both on and off the field. On the field during their playing days, and that same impact that a coach has throughout their life after they're finished playing their high school or college career. And today, I'm blessed to have a conversation with my teacher and good friend and football coach, Jim Brown, who may not knowingly help me become the man I am today. Mr. Brown, welcome, and thanks for being a part of this conversation today.
Thank you, Tim, for inviting me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, as we think about our relationship and how it began, and I remember when I was a ninth grader at Shaw High School, and I walked into that PE class, and I looked at the list and I said, man, his name is Brown. His last name is Brown, and it's Jim Brown, and my name is Tim Brown. And I was so excited, that I had the opportunity to be around a positive African, not knowing my biological father, had the opportunity to be around a positive man. And not just that, but a man with the same last name. And so I kind of adopted you as my high school dad, so to speak, who kind of kept me. And then our relationship grew as you gave me the opportunity to be the monitor for your class for 4 years, actually. All through high school, and also opportunity to be a trainer and manager for the football team during that time as well. And I don't know if you knew all that you were doing for me during that time. Could you kind of, what were you thinking during that time, or what was that? Because I really, as a kid, all I know is this is Mr. Brown. This is he's kind of come alongside helping me out. What were you thinking during that time about our relationship?
Well, I felt that you were a student who I saw potential in. I can say that. I was a coach, and it boiled down to when I first met your mom, to talking to your mom, and she told me about you and how worried she was about, the neighborhood turning to gangs and stuff, and all that kind of stuff were beginning back at that time, and it was getting worse in East Cleveland, and she was worried about you getting around the wrong people and stuff. So, I just felt one time I'd make you a monitor for my phys ed classes, and I promised her I'd keep an eye on you and tried to do what I could to keep you out of trouble. And people think that it was just a few years, but back in the day, there was bullying going on, to a different extreme, but it was still bullying. Mm-hmm. And I made the promise that I would try and keep you busy doing something successful, and instead of hanging around with those who weren't going to be successful or weren't going to do things at that time that was successful for you or them. So that's basically was my thought on having you keep having me keep an eye on you,
Yeah,
so to speak.
yeah, that really, as I think about during those times, you know, when you're a 14-year-old kid, you can go either way. You know,
Yes,
as a young man, and like you said, during those times, neighborhoods changing and just having something positive to do. And that's what I always tell parents is to look for those things that young guys can get into in a positive way and find those positive men in the community. Be a coach, be a teacher, be someone at church. You know, get them involved in something positive. And for you, our relationship, it kind of filled that void in my life. You know, like
yeah,
not knowing my biological father, it helped fill that void, that missing piece in my life during that time, which was definitely much needed. And those things that you showed me helped me in what I'm doing now for others. You know, because
yes,
someone did that for me, and not just for others, but even for my own sons. You know, it kind of helped me and how I wanted to raise my sons and how I wanted them to be in positive situations. You know, around people who can influence them that way. Coach Brown, can you tell me about your experience in growing up in Columbus, Ohio? I know you're a graduate of East High School in Columbus. What impact did coaches and teachers have on your life when you were growing up?
I always was close to the football teams because the stadium and practice field and baseball fields were on the next street from where I lived at, the house that I lived in. So we always hung out over there and everything. And um, our coaches, the coaches that I had in high school, were all Americans. The head coach, of course, he was Aurelius Thomas. He was um, African American, and the other two coaches were African Americans. And they instilled in us from the get-go about being successful and everything. And uh, they treated us like we were their their own kids, so to speak. Um, they went out of their way to keep us out of trouble. And those that got in trouble, there was a penalty, but at the same time, it wasn't as if they gave up on them.
Mm-hmm.
They kept the course with most of those students who ended up, by the time they graduated, they were in situations where they got scholarships to colleges, and that during that time, that was a big deal. Some people don't think it's a big deal now, but it was a big deal back then. My father told me when I was in the 10th grade that I was going to have to get a scholarship because I had a sister who was 1 year older than me and a sister that was 1 year younger than me. And he told me that any money saved for colleges was going to be for them. And so the only way I was going to be able to go to college is if I paid it myself or if I got a scholarship. And so I thought, I took heart to that. But the coaching guidance that I had in high school from those men who were all Americans from Ohio State was something that I needed. And I had told them that the only way I was going to college is if I got a scholarship. So they said, well, if you do well playing, you'll get a scholarship and you keep your grades up. So they made sure that we kept our grades up. They made sure that we stayed out of trouble. Now, there were those who did get in trouble, but they didn't see the light that was put in front of them, Tim. And it was, as my relationship was with all those coaches was as if they were my parents or related to me in some way. You know what I'm saying? Uncle or something. The way that they treated me and the other players, we had study tables back at that time for those who weren't doing good in school. Every Friday, they had we had to take around a card or a paper. At that time, it wasn't a card, but it was a paper where your teachers would write down a report on how you were doing in school. And one of the first things that was asked had to do with behavior. And so if we didn't get good reports from those teachers, the coach wouldn't let us play on that Friday night. Coaching wise and as far as keeping us out of trouble, they did a very good job on me and a lot of other players that came through there. His rules were the rules, and if you didn't follow those, it wasn't going to be very nice. But at the same time, the coaches came in, and when we were eating dinner, and he invited my father went to the door and said, "Jim, some coaches from OU are here to see you." And I said, "Oh, okay." So I got up to go to the living room from the dining room. And my father said, "No, you go back and eat. You coaches, come on in and have a seat. Would you like dinner?" And they said, "No, Mr. Brown, we just ate." And so my father said, "Well, why are you here to see my son?" And they said, "Well, Mr. Brown, we're here to offer your son a chance to go to college." And my father said, "Oh, is that right?" And my father said, "Well, I'm sorry, but I told my son that the only way he would have to go to college is to get a job first and then pay for his own way." And they said, "Well, Mr. Brown, it won't be necessary because we're offering him a full scholarship." And my father said, "What? A full scholarship?" And my father said, "For how many years?" And so they said 4 years. And we'll make sure that he gets his education. So my father said, "Well, where does he sign?" I said, "Wait a minute, Dad, I asked some other schools to go to first." My father said, "Did you hear how much that man said your full scholarship was?" And back then it was a 4-year scholarship was $4,800. So anyway, I ended up signing with OU. The rest is positive outlook on my life from going there, and they made sure I had to go an extra year because I tried out with the Bengals, and so after I didn't make it with the Bengals, I decided not to just stay home. My father said, "Why don't you just stay home and work?" And I said, "No." I said, Coach Hess, who was the head coach at that time at OU, told me if I wanted to come back and go finish college, that they would pay for it. So I went back to college and graduated that following year. And I had people that were on my side. I had people that directed me. And I can include my father in that, as strict as he was.
Well, I want to, on behalf of myself and all those young men and women as well, and students that you have had the opportunity to teach, coach, I want to thank you for your mentorship. Thank you for your guidance, and thank you for being a special part of all of our lives. And I just wanted to personally come on and encourage you, and thank you for being an impact for so many, including myself.